So, for anybody watching, anybody listening, this is going to be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. I forget where else I put this podcast, but I put it in a few different places. This is your boy Dre. This is Dre Talks Podcast. Today we're going to talk about politics. This is, how do you want to identify
Astrid.
us? This is Astrid. I call her Chapina. Um,
Follow me on Instagram, Mommy Chapina.
Mommy Chapina. And I didn't even know, I forget one day when I was working at American Barbershop, I have a ex coworker there. He's like, I forget where he's from. But I forgot why it was like in the political space. We were talking about something. I mentioned like some of your beliefs, and he goes, "Oh, Chapina." He goes, "That's because she's Guatemalan."
Mala.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, "That's what that means." I don't know what he said it means, but he said
Yeah.
it means something like that. Um, Real quick before we start talking about politics, um, you fought cancer.
Yes. I'm
How
still
long?
fighting.
You're still fighting cancer.
Yes.
What kind?
Stage 2 colon cancer.
Stage 2. What?
Yeah. So I still have it, but I just basically stopped everything. Like I stopped medication, stopped treatment, stopped
Why?
everything. I felt like it was making me worse.
You know, I heard. I heard that cancer is, I don't know if I'm wording this correctly. I heard that cancer is trying to fight something in your body, but the treatment of cancer is really what fucks up your body or something like that. That's probably super wrong. Don't fact check, or if you could fact check me on that. But I heard a doctor saying something about that where like they were like, it's not the cancer that kills you, it's the treatment that kills you.
Yeah, honestly, I will say so. I have been, yesterday would be 1 year since my last treatment. And I haven't been in the hospital. Going in October, it'll be a year that I haven't been in the hospital. Because I was basically, that was my home, and my home is my second place of being. Because I was just in and out all the time, spending 2-3 months at a time. And I would leave the hospital worse than when I came in.
Mm.
And I honestly just, the last time I was there, I just thought to myself, like, I can't keep doing this shit. Like, I can't keep um, putting myself through this and putting my body through this, putting my kids through this. Because I would come home and I still couldn't care for myself. And it was just making everything worse. And I just decided to stop everything completely, stopped all the medications. I mean, I had a whole drawer full of medications. And I emptied all that shit out. I threw everything away. I told the doctor I'm not doing anything anymore. I started taking supplements. I changed my diet. I also lost a lot of weight because I was diabetic as well. I also have lupus and I have RA.
Fuck.
And I just stopped everything. And when I tell you that I feel 110% better, I do. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have my days when my body aches, when I am tired. Doing a lot of things for a long period of time will just wear me the hell out. But I don't feel like I did a year ago. And I've been fighting all this. I've been fighting the cancer since 2022, but I've been fighting lupus and RA since my daughter's 16 now, since her birth.
Mm.
So it's been it's been a long battle. And I don't think in 16 years have I had this much of a break like I had this year.
Let's see. Um, that's crazy. Real quick, let me
Yeah.
take a video of your shirt.
Oh.
Pull it up. Pull it up. You can see that shit. Everybody's gonna be looking at your boobies. And then I'll send these to me after.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. You're a fighter.
Thank you.
You are battling life, and I totally fucking respect that. I have a family member who, at the age of in her 80s or late 70s, early 80s, beat cancer of the uterus or the cervix, one of those two. So,
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, if she could beat that, I think anybody can beat anything. Yeah.
I
What
will
it?
say that like my reality check to like make these decisions to get off all the medication also has a lot to do because I lost my brother 2 years ago, John 57, to colon cancer.
Mm,
And I saw those treatments kill him. I saw the hell he went through. He had the surgeries done that they tell you to have. I mean, he did everything that they were telling him to do to a certain extent. And I honestly feel like that's what inevitably killed him, is just literally fighting for his life, because if one medication didn't work, they tried another one. You know, we were in the hospital the last couple weeks, and it was like the tube that he had in his back, because he had the
Colostomy
colostomy.
bag?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they kept like pushing it in, and that shit just it was a horrible experience. And when you have something and you're seeing somebody that you love fighting it, it's almost like, fuck, is that going to be me in the next couple
Yeah.
years? You know, and I think that's the fear that just, it literally made me like rethink everything. And I talked to a lot of people who have had the surgery. I've talked to a lot of people who have been on the treatments, and I just was like, you know what, fuck it. If it's gonna kill me, it's gonna kill me on my terms. It's not gonna do it, being a hospital guinea pig,
Yeah.
because
Fuck
essentially
that.
that's what you are.
Fuck that. Yeah. Yeah, I have heard that colon cancer is one of the worst ones. I've heard it really fucks you up. I've heard you lose like all your color. Like I've heard it's really bad. Um and damn, I'm spacing out right now. I had one more thing to say about the colon cancer. Oh, I feel like
Get tested,
people have told me. So
get screened.
I'm not on a carnivore diet, but I do eat a lot of meat. I eat a lot of steak. Most of my diet consists of beef, right? And people are like, "Oh, you're gonna get colon cancer one day." Wait, that's the one, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They're like, "You're gonna get colon cancer one day." Look, I'll be honest, all right? I've been through so much fucking shit in my life. I should be dead right now. If I'm gonna die from something, I'm not saying I want to die from cancer. God forbid. Like, I'm not asking for this. But at the end of the day, like, if I live a good life and I eat the food I want and I eat, the steak that I want, and one day maybe I do get it, at least to be honest, I'd rather live like that and enjoy what I eat and enjoy my life than have to worry about it. I have a kind of like a family member, who, for anybody that doesn't know, I'm a recovering alcoholic, right? And I've been through so much shit. I've been in the middle of shootouts. I suffered traumatic brain injury, 3 motorcycle accidents, all that shit. My childhood, like all that shit, right? And so, we were at a pool, and this person was like, "You need to wear sunscreen. You need to wear sunscreen. Skin cancer." Da, da, da. And like, this is someone who's a normie, what I would call a normie, not alcoholic. A normal human being who has a degree, who has a house, who has a good life, right? And in my head, I'm like, I think it's so crazy that normal human beings, because I'm a good guy, but I don't consider myself normal. But normal human beings worry about shit like skin cancer and sunscreen.
Yep.
And and I'm like, is that what you worry about? Like, you really go around living paranoid that you're gonna get and she's brown, and I'm like I could see if you were like albino white and you had no skin pigmentation and no like layers of protection, but you're brown. Like, is that what people worry about? Like, is that how people live life, to where they live in fear of like the sun? And not to go on a tangent, but we need vitamin D, right? All that sunscreen shit, I think it's all a racket, to be honest. Yes, you can get skin cancer. Does it really come from the sky? Does it really come from the sun? Maybe there are some, but at the end of the day, I think in the long run and in the larger scope of things, the sun is far more beneficial to your life than not, right? So like, yeah,
I
that's
mean,
something
they
I'm
say
like,
if you're going through like depression and stuff, go outside and let the sun hit you, right? Because it releases those endorphins in you. And I forgot what else they say about that. But yeah, no, I listen, I get the whole normie thing.
yeah,
I'm a recovering addict. I also, like you said, like I grew up in the streets. I grew up in and out. I mean, I graduated high school in juvenile hall.
sheesh, come on,
But I graduated. Hey, I graduated. But what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, it's like, I'm fully transparent with my doctors, right? When I first started getting sick, and the doctors were just like, well, what you have is hereditary. A part of me was just like, it is hereditary, but it's also, I put my body through hell
yeah,
from a
yeah,
very young age. I did it to myself, and I can admit that, and I can take accountability for that, because, I lived my life on my own terms. And at the end of the day, the way I look at it is that, yes, these are the repercussions of the choices that I made in life.
yeah.
And I'm okay with that. And I fuck, I lost my train of thought.
Hey,
I just
yeah,
I do feel that at the end of the day, like the choices that we make in life, they do eventually come back and bite us in the ass.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's the truth. And a lot of people tell me all the time, like, oh, you be telling your doctors too much, you be telling them like they don't need to know this and they don't need to know that. But why not? I
yeah.
mean, at the end of the day, it's the shit that I did. I'm very open, I'm very transparent of, the things that I've done in life, and the struggles that I've battled. And this is just another bump in the road. And if I got through all the other shit, I'm gonna get through this shit.
Yeah, straight up. Yeah, fucking. You know, all the liquor and lines I've done in my life. I mean, if I were to get cancer one day, I mean, it's like, honestly, I don't think, I don't know. I don't know. There's so many possibilities of how people can die, and I'm not really worried about death. To be honest, this is gonna sound weird, but I honestly think I'm gonna live forever somehow, some way. So I honestly, I don't fear it. Um, and yeah, yeah, damn, I'm spacing now.
And the thing is that, like, we're walking testimonies, right? We're walking testimonies that at the end of the day, we've gone through a lot of shit in life. We've done a lot of shit in life, but yet here we are.
Yeah,
And we're doing things in a different manner. We're thinking in a different manner. And at the end of the day, that's what matters is who you are now. It's not who you were in the past. It's not who you're going to be, but who you are in the present. And I think that's important, and like for me, my way of coping with everything in life is by helping others and doing for others. And I work as a case manager. I work in social services. I help unhoused women get housed. I help them get off the street. I help DV victims, sexual assault victims. That is my way of contributing something back into society, because I can work a regular 9 to 5 and it's not fulfilling. What am I
yeah,
doing with that? There's no purpose behind it. Now what I'm doing, I feel like there's a purpose. And even when I'm not on the clock, I'm still doing what I got to do to help people. And I think that's a testimony on itself, is the fact that, like, I'm able to bring my story and my life struggles and tell people, like, hey, like, you're going through this right now, but trust me, there is a fucking huge light at the end of the tunnel.
yeah, straight up,
And I
straight
think
up.
that's important. It's important to, it's okay to not want to always share your story, but I also think it's important to share your story, because you never know, that's your story can help somebody else. It can
Yeah,
give somebody else strength.
yeah, straight up. Now we'll start going into the politics. Now, before we do, so I remember the other day when we were like, "Hey, I have cats or a cat." You're like, "Just a warning if you're allergic." I'm like, "I'm not." And then I'm like, "Hey, actually, I have a joke for you for the podcast. So let's check this out." All right. So everybody knows I listen to Joe Rogan a lot. That's some good, like, for me. It's just like not just entertainment, but yeah, he's not a genius. He's not like a scientist. I don't know. He probably doesn't have a degree, or maybe I think he does, but he's not someone like to look up to, but I do learn shit from the people, from his guests and the people he has on. But one thing he does talk about a lot is toxoplasmosis,
Fuck is that?
toxoplasmosis, right, is an infection caused by a microscopic parasite called Toxoplasma gondii, right? Most people who get it have mild or no symptoms, but it's a concern for pregnant women and people with weakened immune systems, right? But here's the thing: you know where you get it from? Cats. You get it from their litter box, right? Now, I'm not saying I'm sure you don't touch your cat's shit, but that's where it comes from. Now, have you ever heard the term "crazy cat lady"?
Yeah, my daughter.
That's from toxoplasmosis. Toxoplasmosis is linked to impulsiveness, right?
Mhm.
Um, it can be but it can also be in eating undercooked meat. Okay, exposure to infected cat, contaminated food or water, other animals, right? But it causes impulsivity, slower reaction time, higher likelihood of accidents. So what they find is a lot of guys in motorcycle accidents have toxoplasmosis.
Wow.
But here's my point to all this. I was like, she probably has toxo. I was like, no wonder she's a fucking Democrat. No,
Wow, talking shit already.
no. But look, so look, all right. So what are the things I want to talk about
All right, fuera. No.
before we go into it, right? I'm Mexican American. I'm in part second generation, third generation. My mom's from Mexico. Um,
So are
uh,
you first or second if your mom's from
well, my
Mexico?
dad's from here.
Oh, got it.
So
Okay.
my dad's from here. His family's from like Texas and Jalisco. But but yeah, so that I guess I'm both. You know what I mean? Um, so if Trump were to change that law, if Trump changed that law about the whole, what is it called? The one but obviously it wouldn't be
What is
affect
it
me.
called? It's called the,
That
yeah, I know what
the
you're
one,
talking
you know what
about.
I'm talking about?
Um, Anchor baby thing,
The
right?
parents who bring their kids and
Yeah,
they're born here.
yeah.
Yeah. If it would have been, if I would have been brought here today, right, I'd still be a citizen because my dad. Thanks, Dad. Appreciate you. No, but I'm all jokes aside. So yeah, I'm Mexican American. I do identify more as American only because, like, in our society, one thing I don't like about Mexican culture is that I've been um, looked down upon by Mexican culture, by Mexican people who are from Mexico. Growing up, I didn't speak that good Spanish.
Te
I
dicen
don't.
pocho.
I don't. Yeah, they call me a pocho. I don't. act Mexican. I mean, in some ways I do act Mexican, but so I identify more as American, right? And I am an American first. Now, I grew up in the hood. I grew up in Highland Park. We both grew up in, East LA, Highland Park, Northeast LA, right? Period. So we're LA babies, right? So I grew up. My parent growing up, my parents didn't vote at all. I think my dad barely voted like in this last election, right? After what 54 years. So, but in a way, I grew up Democratic because I grew up thinking I was a Democrat. I grew up thinking that I had democratic values. I voted for Obama, and I thought he was like one of the best presidents ever, which some people say he was. Some people say he don't. He wasn't, depending on who you talk to. But that's how I grew up. So I think I grew up with those kind of values. I grew up lower middle class. I didn't grow up with money. So you would think like, yeah, I grew up in a Democratic household. I grew up people telling us that in the hood, like we're Democrat, or I just grew up thinking that that's what we were, right? And so that's how I grew up. In 2008, I voted Democrat. And 2012. Yeah.
Yeah,
2008, 2012, I
12.
voted Democrat. I
Yeah.
voted for Obama, right? Now, I do identify as a Republican today. I did in the last two. Actually, I'll be honest. For anybody that wants to know, you can block me. You can do whatever. The last election, I voted for Trump. The election before that, I voted for Biden. I voted for Biden, right? I voted for
What do you
Biden.
think your shift was though? Like, what made you decide I'm I can't do this no more? Like,
So okay, so I follow. I listen to a lot of political debates. I listen to a lot of like political figures, not necessarily like politicians, but people that have like political podcasts. Like what do you call them? Not political activists, but people like Dave Smith. Dave Smith, he's a libertarian. So Dave Smith, he's a libertarian. Joe Rogan, he's a libertarian. Andy Frisella, he's a libertarian. They're all libertarians, which isn't conservative or liberal. It's like somewhere in the middle, right? And when you think about libertarian, what does that say? Liberal liberty, right? So that's what they're all about. And so those are the people I kind of look up to, and so those are the people I kind of share values with. I feel like if anything, I'm more of a moderate because I do have democratic values and I have Republican values. And so I told one time I posted like I think everybody's a moderate. And someone was like, "No, that's not true. Everybody is either right or left. You guys just aren't. You guys are just
like
don't
you
have the
can't be in the
you
middle.
just
And
don't
that,
have the balls to admit it."
yeah.
Which isn't necessarily true because
But why do you feel like you have to identify as one or the other?
I don't,
Yeah,
right?
because
I
I
don't.
genuinely like people assume automatically that I'm Democratic.
Right,
I'm not. I don't. I literally, when it comes to checking that box, I check. I don't know
right,
because
right,
the truth is that my thoughts on politics, my thoughts on humanity, my thoughts on everything is very much my own.
right.
I genuinely don't feel like I need to be categorized under a certain title or a certain group because at the end of the day, my thoughts are not going to be the same as you or the same as the next person or whoever's watching, right? Like my thoughts are completely different and that's okay. And I think that's where I feel like this country is very divided is the fact that like why do y'all feel like you gotta have to be identified under a certain category to like be to fit in or to feel like you're a part of something? Like nah, like just whatever your beliefs are, your beliefs.
I mean, if you think about it, this shit is ingrained in us.
Yeah, no,
Even
it
as
is. It
kids,
is.
we've been getting categorized all of our
It is.
lives.
It is.
All of our lives. Like it's not just political in a political space. I've been, we've been categorized all of our lives. Like
Yeah.
from the day we're born to the day we die, we are categorized in some space. Whether it's about economy, whether it's about race, gender, class, politics, whatever it is, we're categorized. And I think as a human being, like, yeah, you could choose to be like, hey, like, I'm not one or the other, which is true. Like me, like in my life, I'm in a weird, like, what do you call it? Like, I'm in a weird category in life where, like, I mean, I don't worry about this, but like, say I kick it in the hood, right? I'm bald, I'm tatted, I have a beard, I'm Mexican, I've been to jail, right? But I've also been to college, you know?
Yep.
And I code switch a lot. I don't realize that I changed the way I talk a lot. Someone was like, "Hey, you code switch a lot." But I grew up in the ghetto. I grew up having to cope. I grew up having to be different people. So
But
I
that is part
learned
of life. I will tell
that,
you that.
yeah.
It is part
And
of
so
life. You
like,
have to do that. You have to be able to switch it up because who I am at work is definitely not who I am when I'm kicking it with my friends. Like
right,
I'm two different people.
right.
And you have to be able to do that shit because you can't always be who you are, especially in professional settings.
Yeah, well, for sure. So like, say I'm in the hood, right? To like people who are gangsters, who are cholos, they're like, oh, this fool is like he's like I don't, like they see me. I don't know what they see me as. Half the time, if they're a tweaker, they think I'm a cop, which is fucking retarded. If you smoke dope and you think I'm a cop, you obviously don't know me, right? Now, to regular people, to some regular people, I'm too hood. I in the past I used to kick it in the Boyle Heights projects and the A Street projects, right? And I was fucking around back then, but there was families that didn't want me at their house because they would call me a cholo. They would call me a cholo, and they were like, "This
Same,
motherfucker's dangerous," right?
same.
And
A lot of
so,
people wouldn't let their kids hang out with me because they'd be like,
yeah,
esa niña es una chola.
yeah, and so, and I mean, I claim Northeast LA, I claim Nella. I'm not from Highland Park. I'm not from the. I'm from. I grew up in Highland Park. I'm not from the hood, but do I have a bunch of homies? Can I? Yeah, you know what I mean. If I go to jail, I'm gonna represent Highland Park. Like that's it. You know what I mean. And yeah, I have family, so that's why. Um. So yeah, I'm in that weird category where, and then even with like how I dress and how I look and how I act, people are like, oh, like what, like you're like a fitness guy. You know what I mean? Even like, which is cool. I don't mind. I'd rather
But then
be.
you go again. There you go in that
There
category,
you go in that category.
categorizing
There you go in
yourself
that
into like,
category.
yeah,
Exactly. So like,
yeah.
people, we're always categorizing people. Now me, do I see color? Sometimes, only sometimes, right? Do I care about color? Not really. If you're a good person and you don't fuck with me and you leave me alone and you're respectful, I could care less about what color you are. I could care less about what sexual orientation you are. I could care less about what you've done in life, who you are, where you work, how much money. I don't care about none of that shit. Now, if you invade my space, then I'm a trip. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't grow up around black people. Highland Park, back in the day, avenues in Highland Park, they drove out all the black people. So I grew up around literally zero black people. I didn't see, obviously I saw,
But it's still like that right now
and
because
it's, yeah, it is,
my kids went to Glasshouse Park Elementary, and I remember there was only like two black kids out
yeah,
of the whole damn school, and I literally was just like, damn. My kids grew up in South Central. My kids went to school off of 100 by 103rd and Fig. My kids went to school off of 51st and San Pedro. They went to elementary school out in the jungle. It's like that's primarily what they're used to being around. And then I put them in school for about a year at Glasso Park, and it was just like pure white and Hispanics. And not saying that the Hispanic part, but it was you don't really see white people out in South Central. You don't see white people out in the jungles. You don't see that.
yeah. So I've been like, people tell me like, oh, like, you don't like black people. I'm like, look, when I fought in MMA, 2010, 2011, 2012, one of my brothers in my fight camp, Terry Ware, who made it to the UFC, he was he wasn't like full black. He's black. He's a black guy. He's cool. He's fucking super respectful, hard worker. One of the most ethical people, human beings I know with integrity. Such a good guy, good family man, good dad, good fighter, good human being. Period. He's black. Now, do I have any black friends right now? No, but and there's
But
been
why do you
time.
think that is?
I'm just
Is it because of where you live?
I mean, I do live in Irvine, so I mean,
you know,
Highland Park to Irvine, there's not
yeah,
much in either one,
yeah.
but like my son, one of his friends is black. Cool, I think he's like Nigerian. Cool, he's a good kid. Um, Now, one of the things I want to say about like our space right now about the whole political thing, one of the things that annoys me is homies, Southsiders, Sureños, that go on social media and complain about Trump and Republicans being racist towards black people. Because I'm like, look, dog, if you've ever been in fucking county jail or prison and you politicked,
The
you can't
divide.
ever say shit about
Yep.
racism, dog. Because when we're in there, we're fucking
It's
them
all
up.
about race.
We're fucking them up. We're
It's
fighting.
all about
We
race.
ain't sharing no food. We ain't sharing no nothing. So if you've ever been in jail and you're gonna be like, oh, he's being racist, shut up. Because you ain't. Because if you go back to jail right now, you're gonna go right back to politics. You know what I mean? So
You know what's crazy is that you're bringing that up is I haven't really seen that side of it. I've seen a lot of side of cholos and cholas who are diehard Trump supporters, and I literally am just like, what the fuck?
I have
Like that shit. Literally, like during the elections, I have followed so many people that like they do the lowrider shit, they do the cholo scene. There was that girl that went on there. That was defending Jenny 69. I can't remember her name. But there was a girl that went on TikTok and basically was defending Jenny 69 when she got into that battle with Pinks or whatever that other Hyna's name is. But anyways, when I seen shit like that, like during the election, where you from the hood, you from a hood, like you genuinely claim a hood. You grew up in the projects. You've been in and out of jail and all that shit, and then you're a Trump supporter. It really made me sit down and really think like, how? Like I would love to take a deep dive and really pick your brain and understand what made you jump to that side, because it don't make no sense to me. It really doesn't make no sense.
so I have a homie. He's kind of TikTok and Instagram famous. I don't know if I should say his name, but he makes a lot of videos. He's from the hood. He's from Highland Park,
Yeah,
but he doesn't live in California. I think he lives in like North Carolina or something like that. Um, the homie Eifu Carnalgas. I'm sure you've seen his page.
I think so.
He's the
Yeah.
one that wears a mask all the time. He makes those funny ass videos. He's like,
Oh
"Hey,
yeah,
homie,"
yeah.
and then he makes like,
I'll be honest,
"Okay,
y'all. I am the worst with names.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
if I
yeah,
see
yeah,
your
yeah,
face, I
yeah,
know who you
yeah,
are, but
yeah."
I'm the worst with names.
So he he's like me and him. We're in the same camp. We're in the same beliefs. Now, I feel like one of the things I feel like is if you see diehard hood fools, diehard cholos, OGs, you know, real gangsters, right? If you see them and they're Trump supporters or they're Republicans, right, or conservatives, see, like me, I really wouldn't consider myself. I would say, if anything, I'm more conservative at this point in
You
my
think?
life. More conservative than I wouldn't say necessarily Republican. I would say conservative, right? And so
So
when
help
you
me. I help me understand the. I mean, I know the difference, but help me understand your difference between both.
okay, so real quick, let me finish with this. I would say when you see that kind of shit, when you see people like us, tatted, bald, going to that side, I wonder why that doesn't make more people think like, why? Like, what's going on in our world, in our country, in our lives that's making them switch, right? And I think a lot of it comes down to values. Like I said, I voted for Obama, right? Cool. I think what started to change me, I'm 35 years old. As I'm getting older, is like I believe in family, I believe in money, I believe in freedom, I believe in guns, right? I believe in freedom of speech. I believe in, um, I believe in a capitalist society where, yeah, it's unfortunate that there are poor people, and I think they should all get help, and I think they should all have the opportunity to make money. But I think one of the great things about this country is that we have the opportunity to grow up in the hood and get rich. Now, is it going to happen? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. But that's one of the opportunities that this country has given us. And I know people who I know someone who grew up in South Central. He owns a home. He runs a company. He has a Lamborghini. Like, he grew up in South Central. He's half black and half I think Salvadorian. And my boy is educated. He's a good dude. You know what I mean? I just saw him. I just saw him yesterday. And it's like that's what America provides. Someone who grew up in South Central can drive a Lamborghini. You know what I mean? And I have a homie that who grew up in East LA. He drives Ferraris. He drives. I remember one time I went to his mom's house in East LA, and there was a bunch of like hood foods. Like, I'm talking hood foods. It kind of made even me feel uncomfortable, right? And I remember I sat down on the couch and there was a pillow, and I kind of moved the pillow, and there was a strap right there. My boy's, moving weight. He drives Ferraris. He's got condos. My boy's doing good, and that's something that America can do. You know what I mean? Only here, like, you really can't do that in Mexico. You really can't do that in El Salvador. You really can't do that. Definitely can't do that shit in China.
Yeah.
You definitely can't do that shit in the Middle East. You know what I mean?
But do you feel that that's where we're at right now? Because I generally feel like right now we don't have the freedom to do a lot of things. Our freedoms are slowly but surely being taken away. I mean, let's be honest. The fact that a late night talk show host, his show just got pulled indefinitely off the air
All right.
for freedom of speech.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah, like
All right. So
listen, at the end of the day, I look at it in this aspect. I do get where you're coming from, and I do believe that you're 100% right on that. But I also do believe that right now, with the administration that we don't have freedoms, especially if you're a person of color. And you
yeah.
know it's bad when a white person's getting pulled off the air for speaking his
So here's
mind.
all right. So now here's the thing. Here, all right. Here, let's talk about Jimmy Kimmel. Right. Um, what people don't know now, what people don't know is there's more to that story.
Oh, of
Okay,
course, of
there's
course.
way more to that story. One, his contract with ABC is up at the end of this year. His ratings are all the way down, and nobody's watching late night talk shows anymore. Okay, so there's boom, boom, boom. This was more like the tipping point. This was more like the final straw, right? Now, did the FCC intervene? Maybe. I don't know if there's proof that the FCC intervened and said, "Hey, you need to fire that motherfucker." But let's be honest.
Well, proof has came out.
ABC isn't Fox News. ABC is a more liberal channel. I believe. I don't think it's conservative.
It's not.
I don't know.
It's one of those things where I don't even think that it's about it being more liberal or more conservative. I think right now it's what it boils down to is who's putting up the money for these stations
I
and
mean,
who's behind the money.
from what I know, the only like media outlet that's actually like more conservative is Fox News, and everybody's like, "Where'd you?" They're like, "Oh, where'd you get your news? Fox News?" And I'm like, "No, bro, I don't even watch the news. I really don't watch the news
Yeah, me
because
neither.
that's full of shit." Like, and here's another thing about all this news shit: don't watch it. Like, they're full of shit. They're only gonna tell you what they want to tell you. What they're gonna
What
give you
that
some.
station's viewpoint is.
They're gonna give us peasants some crumbs and be like, "Oh, here, look." The media divides. The media is setting us up to be against each other. Like more than anything, like no,
If you're gonna watch somebody, I recommend you watch Jorge Ramos. You remember him from Univision?
no,
You don't remember him from well,
no.
he was a news reporter on Univision, and now he's doing his own thing. And like when all this stuff started here in LA with the protests and everything that started with immigration, he came back and he started his own Instagram account. I believe he has YouTube now. He's on TikTok. But I genuinely feel like that is a news reporter who's giving us the real deal, like what's really going on, not just basing it on what his beliefs or where he stands and stuff. Like he's giving us both sides, and he's one of those reporters that honestly he'll go to toe with somebody in an interview and call you out on your shit, and you know that for me is like real reporting.
Yeah. So before I forget, back to the Jimmy Kimmel thing. Now, all right. Did he get fired? Yeah. Okay. Does it suck? Probably. Now, is this American? Do we have free speech? Yes. But now, one, like I said, ABC was looking for a way out. His ratings are down. Late night talk show isn't a thing anymore. They're losing money, right? Two things. Okay. In America, okay, we have freedom of speech, but that freedom of speech is limited in not to what you can say. Well, yeah, you can't incite riots, you can't threaten someone, right? And that's reasonable. Like you shouldn't incite a riot and you shouldn't threaten somebody's life. And if you do threaten somebody's life and there was no if that wasn't a thing, if you could threaten someone's life with no consequence, like I'd expect that person to get fucked up. Like you threaten someone's life, you're gonna get fucked up,
Yeah,
right? So
fuck around and find
fuck
out.
around and find out. Exactly. So now here's the thing. All right. One, I think ABC is based in California. California is an at will employment state, meaning you can get fired for any reason without any cause at any point. They can just terminate you and let you go with no recourse. So there's that. Okay. Now,
Not if you have a contract.
okay. So California is also a super liberal state. Super liberal. You know what I mean? So
That's why your girl will never move.
you would think that they would have Jimmy's back, right? Now, one more thing, okay? Everybody's been like, "Oh, that's free speech. You guys, the Republicans are stopping free speech, and they're the ones who complain about it the most." Here's the thing: the other limitation to free speech, if you work for a private company, you're clocked into that company, you don't have the right to say whatever you want while you work for that company.
But I think it's different when it's I think it's different because one, he's a comedian. Two, they knew what they were signing up for when they hired him. I mean, let's be honest, what he said to get him fired, he's said other shit that has been, if not worse. And I'm not saying what he's saying was bad. Don't get me wrong. What I highly agree with what he said. I have no problem with what he said, because at the end of the day, I feel like, listen, we have Charlie Kirk, right, who went on and he promoted what his beliefs were, and the president fucking, not my president, but the president went and fucking lowered the flags to what, half mast or whatever
That
it's
was
called.
also for 9/11.
No, that was for him. Let's be honest, that was for him. Is doing all this shit, for somebody who, again, exercises freedom of speech. Then we turn around and we're trying to silence because it's not agreeable with what he wants and what Republicans want right now, what conservatives want.
So, okay, so I kind of agree with you in that, but now here's where the pendulum is swinging back, because this is a vicious cycle to where, like, the Democrats were doing this to everybody during COVID, silencing free speech on social media, going to people like Facebook and Twitter and saying, hey, you need to take down their posts if they're talking about COVID. So this is all
Talking about COVID in what aspect? Because
meaning, like, if it was something unfavorable to what they were telling us, even if it was a fact, to this day. Now, I mean, this is more China now, but to this day, if I have a Joe Rogan TikTok account, and if I post a, a video where he's talking about COVID and he's talking about vaccines and he's talking about facts, even if it's a fact, they will mute my audio or delete my video, like that. But I can,
but who owns
yeah.
you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
who?
But
Because I know a lot of people whose accounts during the protests, they were posting about the protests, and I guess they're calling them parades now, or what are they calling, festivals? But anyways, I know a lot of people whose accounts got taken away on Instagram and Facebook because they were posting about what was going on with the protests and being out there and going live stream. Like, I can't live stream on Instagram anymore. That shit got taken away from me being at the King's Day parade. No King's Day parade. I'm sorry. I can't go live anymore at all. I can't go live on it, and on TikTok they'll literally shut down my live streams if it has anything to do with anything political. And who owns that?
well, TikTok, I think, is still owned by China. I heard they did come to an agreement, but honestly, fuck TikTok. I think I'm gonna delete it because it's literally like I don't find anything entertaining on there. I'm tired of, like, all the stupid shit with, like, them deleting my videos. Like, it's fucking retarded. I think TikTok is dead. You know what I mean? TikTok is dead.
It's not what it used to be. That's for damn
It's
sure.
really not. And it's just another distraction, anyways. Now, I want to go back to something you said earlier about our liberties, right? Other than TikTok, now, see, when people are like, "Oh, they're taking away our freedoms," me, as a 35-year-old man who's been in jail, who grew up in the hood, who lives in Irvine now, right? Um, I guess maybe I'm sort of sheltered because I haven't been stripped of any freedoms. I haven't. My life hasn't been my so my life hasn't been compromised at all. My life hasn't been changed. My life hasn't been affected, other than, like, grocery store prices, maybe, other than the price of eggs when all that shit was going down, other than gas prices, which I drive electric, so I'm not tripping on that anyways. But other than that, like, I guess maybe I'm sheltered because none of that shit has affected me or touched me. I don't experience, I don't experience racism. I don't experience prejudice or discrimination. You know what I mean? And I live in a white city. I live in one of the most conservative cities in California, and I
Yeah.
don't experience any racism. I don't experience anything. Where I live, cops see me, they shake their head at me, they salute me, they say what's up, they smile. You know where I experienced racism? In East LA by Mexican and black cops. They dog me. They'll last year I got pulled
But do you
over.
think that's more of them than you?
Um I think I think I think in a way, especially if you're in an authority position of authority. Actually, no, not even just authority of position. That's another thing. Okay, if you are experiencing racism, I'm sorry. Like, that shit's fucked up, right?
It is fucked
That
up.
shit's really fucked up. I've never been really. I've never experienced racism with the white person. Like I don't think I have. But like I feel like in my life, the only times I've ever really truly experienced racism outside of law enforcement are black people in jail, which is us, not
It's
them.
the
It's not
norm.
even. It's not even them. It's us. It's us Mexicans. It's us outsiders and sureños, right? And if anything, I've experienced more racism from Mexican people than anything.
From your own people.
From my own motherfucking people, From my own motherfucking people. And it's like black people kill black people. Mexican people hurt Mexican people. You know what I mean? Um,
Well, that's how they say, like, if you're Hispanic and you're a little bit lighter, it's like, it's almost like they hold you at a pedestal, right? And the darker you are, it's almost like, I don't know. I see a lot of criticism within my own community, right? Of like just colorism. And, you see it on the black side and you see it on the Hispanic side. And it's a real thing. It's a real thing that happens within your own culture.
yeah, yeah. So
I will say that I personally, I can't think of a moment right now where I've experienced it, racism. I know I've experienced it because I did go to high school up north in Northern California. I lived in Santa Rosa, Runner Park. I lived in Sebastopol, and I lived in Windsor. And I will tell you that I did. I know I experienced it, but I can't think of a specific story. But I will say, 2 weeks ago, 2 Saturdays ago, I got a phone call from Hawthorne Police Department that they have my son. My son is 14 years old, and the officer that called me was like, "Hi, we're calling in regards to." They gave my son's name. They're like, "He's not hurt or anything, but he is in the back of a police car. We do have him handcuffed. We do have him detained." And I was like, "For what? What did he do? Like, what's going on?" And I'm already thinking like a bunch of scenarios of what's going on. And basically, what the officer told me on the phone was he was Mexican and walking down the street and looked suspicious, and I
mm,
lost my shit. I lost my shit.
mm,
I literally ran out of my house, grabbed my keys, ran to where they had them, and I'm not gonna lie, I went over there and I was extremely ignorant with my words, and it took me a minute to kind of take it back, and like really think about how I wanted to react and what I wanted to say next. Because when I got there, I was like, "Get my fucking son out of the back of that fucking car. What the fuck is wrong with you? He's 14 years old. What the fuck do you mean because he's Mexican? We're not even fucking Mexican. We're Central American." Like all of that came out of all that anger came out of me. I was so pissed. And they that's their excuse. He was brown and looked suspicious walking down the street when he was literally going to a rec center, which is close by our house. And I, it sucks that my child had to go through that, but it takes me back to conversations that I had with both of my kids at the beginning of the summer when all this stuff happened with ICE, right? Where this summer really sucked for my kids because last summer my son was up and down on his bike going to Santa Monica, going to Manhattan Beach, going to Hollywood on his bike with his friends. And this year I was like, nah, you can't do that shit. It's not, I don't want to get that phone call. And yet here it is, 2 weeks ago, I got that phone call.
mm,
And for me, that was like, damn, you don't think it's going to happen to you, but it happens to you,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it sucks because whether or not it's traumatizing to my son, which I'm sure it is, but my child is resilient, but I still think that at the end of the day, nobody should have to deal with that shit. Nobody should have to deal with the fact that like you're going to get pulled over because of the color of your skin
yeah,
and automatically be categorized under, oh, well, you look suspicious, oh, you look like this, or you look like that. Like that to me is that's where the anger comes out of with everything that's going on right now. Not saying that it hasn't, I'm sure this has been happening forever, but what I'm saying is right now it's the norm and it sucks.
yeah, yeah. I think that's fucked up. That's horrible. One thing about being, I guess about having police and police departments while they're intended to serve and protect us, they're human and they do stupid shit a lot of the time. um and I think that's really fucked up, and I think shit like that does need to change, like, for sure. And you know I I mentioned earlier, maybe I'm sheltered, because of where I live and how I live or whatever. I think it does suck that you experienced that and he experienced that, and most likely, like, my son probably won't experience anything like that, not because of where we live or who I am, but because he's basically like, he looks white. He's like
Yeah.
very light skinned, very light skinned. And he's probably never gonna have to deal with that. So I think it is fucked up that in a world, in a country where we're all free, in a country where we're all supposed to be equal, that people deal with shit like that. Like that's the kind of shit I don't agree with. One of the other things, like I've been telling people, and this kind of like this probably fucks up my experience and ruins my view on this whole subject, like with ICE. Um, One of the things I voted for, did I vote? I didn't vote for them to deport families. I voted for them to, um, you know, take out
Criminals.
terrorists, criminals, people that are not contributing to this country. And what I don't mean by like working, I mean people who are doing stupid shit, fucking shit up, people who are fucking with citizens, people who are fucking with whoever. Like if you're in this country illegally and you're ruining you're being a bother to somebody's life, like that's fucked up. You know what I mean? I feel like I don't like the word immigrant. I don't like the word alien. I feel like people who come here for another country, like if you come for a better experience and a better life, like fuck yeah, you know. Is it a law that you're not supposed to come here illegally? I guess so. Yeah, it is. It is a law. Do I agree or disagree with that law? I'm sort of indifferent because I think there's two sides of that story where like there's always going to be a gray line with that. Now, this country is based on borders. This country is based on a certain idea, right? Are we all immigrants? Yeah, we're all immigrants. We all came from somewhere else. No, but the people that started here were probably Indians, and at some point some Mexican people, right? Um, and I think shit. I just spaced.
It happens.
Wow, fail.
No, honestly, I feel like at least for me, growing up, I remember in school they don't really teach you. Well, at least back then, they didn't really teach you, you know, the truths about this country and how this country came to be America, right? They give you the rated G version. They don't give you the whole version. And I think what I am really loving, my kids go to charter schools, and I think what I'm really loving about the experience that my kids are having now in school is that there are teachers, that are from my generation that are out there teaching this new generation the truths, and really getting down to the nitty gritty and not just giving them the sugar coated rated G portion of what our history is. And I think that's important. And I also think it's important as parents for us to be teaching our kids. I tell my kids all the time, my grandparents on my mom's side, my family, most of it came already legally. They came with papers. Some didn't, but most did. On my dad's side, pretty much everybody has came illegally and then been able to get their citizenship. But I'm first generation. And my mom came here when she was in high school, and my grandfather worked his ass off and to support a household. And I was raised by my grandparents for almost the first 10 years of my life. And it was a one income household. And I remember my grandmother always telling me, like, appreciate that you're here in this country, appreciate the freedoms that we have. And she would always talk to us about back home, and she would always talk to us about like the struggles that they went through and stuff. And now with my kids, I love to share those stories with them, and I love to share with them that at the end of the day, yes, you are American, you were born here, but let's not forget where your roots come from. Let's not forget, what our family history is. And I think that's important when raising this new generation and teaching the history, because there's so much information out there now, especially with social media, and a lot of it is bullshit. Let's be honest. A lot of the information that's out on
Mm-hmm.
social media is bullshit. A lot of the information they're getting from the media in general is bullshit. You have to, in your home, teach your children what your history is and where your family comes from and the values and morals and stuff like that. And I think that with everything going on right now, I love to see the way our youth is speaking up and rising up. To me, that is the most beautiful thing in the world, because, you know, you're fighting for people who can't fight right now. For me, it was heartbreaking to see what happened in the fields in Oxnard. Because these are people that are working.
Mm, yeah.
These are people that are providing the food that we put on our table, that we're nourishing our bodies with. And to see them fucking go in there like that and rip people from jobs, because let's be honest, we're hearing about all these fucking raids and they're all happening in places of business. They're happening with people that are fucking working. Like, I don't see y'all going to trap houses, raiding them motherfuckers. I don't see y'all going out, on Skid Road and picking up the drug dealers that are posted up on the corner. I don't see none of that shit. I'm seeing you go into where people are working to provide for their families. That's what I'm seeing. And that's the fucked up part. And that's where I think a lot of the anger comes from, is that you want to put out there that you want to get these criminals and these people out of, you want to get them off the streets, right? But you're not doing it to criminals. You're doing it to hardworking, people, human beings. And you're going to car washes, you're going to street vendors. People are just trying to
Yeah.
hustle. And the part of the American dream is to be able to be out here hustling. Part of the American dream is to be out here being able to support your family and give them a life that they didn't have before. And I don't think that um what's going on right now, honestly, like it's a harsh reality, because I do feel like a lot of people voted the way that you voted, but I also feel like y'all were blindsided by what you voted for and weren't given the full information, which is primarily what fucking happens, right?
On both sides.
Yeah, on both
On both
sides. You're
sides.
not ever fucking giving the full information, and
Yeah.
then when shit hits the fan, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, don't get me wrong, I love Obama. I voted for him, and I do believe that he was a great president. But I also do, the harsh reality is that there
He,
was a lot that he did when it came to,
he deported more than anybody.
yes, there's a lot, right, that
Yeah.
happened, especially with the children that were. I remember when they had all those children in I guess you want to call it cages, because that's what the fuck they was. I was rallying up stuff in South Central, to take over there. I have an uncle who, his wife, she was taking carloads down there to the borders to give back to these kids, to give them clothes and stuff that they didn't have. But that was during Obama's administration, and that's the truth. That's the reality, right? And I think that's where, when you want to talk about politics and you want to talk about what's going on, talk about the real shit. Don't just say, "Oh, well, when Obama was here, everything was better." Oh, Trump's fucking everything up. Yeah, a lot of shit is fucked up. I don't think I've seen one president in my whole lifetime who hasn't fucked up in one way or another, and that's
Ever.
the harsh reality of it. Like, y'all want to sit there and you guys want to have Twitter fingers about, like, trying to defend somebody. Don't defend the person. Don't try to sit there and defend the person, because at the end of the day, these presidents, they're doing their fucking job, and they're gonna do what is being asked of them by other people.
That's another thing. That's another thing. Like, people don't understand. Be mad at Trump. I get it. But at the end of the day, most of, I think all of our presidents, they've all been compromised. They're all funded by what they call, by the deep state, and by um, you know, um, PACs, and they are all compromised. Now, who they're compromised by and how they're compromised, we don't know. We won't ever know. But at the end of the day, like, one time I heard, or I forget how I heard this, but someone said, this is what happens. Someone gets elected to be president of the United States. Okay, they get elected, they give their speech, whatever. After they get inaugurated, they get taken into a back room in the military, and all the highest people and all the highest power people in this country tell them, look, motherfucker, this is what you're gonna say, this is what you're gonna do, and you're
They
gonna
even the
do,
president got to answer to somebody.
and you're gonna do what the fuck we say,
Yeah.
or else whatever. You know what I mean? And so, if that's the case, that's the case. And unfortunately, can we do anything about it? Probably not. But I just want to say, we'll probably come into wrap up soon. But what I want to say is, all the people in this country who are complaining about politics, who are complaining about this country and about not freedoms, but just complaining and complaining and complaining. If it's that bad, like, do something about it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I
Yes.
One day,
Don't
I would
just
love
sit there
I would love
fiddling your
to, yeah,
fingers.
I would love to run for political office, and I probably will, to make a change. That's the only thing you can do. Like, you can't just sit here and talk shit and belittle people, and just throw jabs, and just put other people down, if you're not trying to do something about it. You know what I mean? And the fucked up thing is, because we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. And at the end of the day, more than anything, both Democrats and Republicans in the highest positions of power in our country, they work together. They're probably at the bar having drinks after they go and debate. They're like, "Hey man, this is what we're gonna say today. Like, let's divide them. Let's make them think they're this. Let's make them think they're that. They are having dinners together. Like you don't think you don't. They are. You know what I mean? They are. They are all in it together. If you're not rich like us, like we all need to be together. You know, we need to stop fighting. We need to stop fucking around. Like all this fighting and division, it's stupid. Like I see a lot of people like, oh, if you know, post about Charlie, like fuck you, I'm gonna block you. Like, oh, like first of all, I posted something about it and I just said, you know, that I'm tired of this shit, right? Charlie, someone was like, "Oh, that's your boy." Charlie's not my boy. He's a guy that he was a Christian. Did he say things that people believed in? Yes. Did he say some controversial things? Probably. Did he quote mostly scripture in his arguments? He did. Right? Was he racist? I don't know. I don't know. I have his book in my car. I don't know if he was racist. I
Listen,
don't know.
I'm going to tell you. I'm
I
going to tell you.
don't know.
Somebody that speaks the way that he spoke. Yes, you are racist. I'm a strong believer in that. And I listen. Nobody deserves to be killed the way that he was
Yeah.
killed for speaking what their beliefs are. That I will. It's the truth. But at the end of the day, it goes back to the way that I was raised. You fuck around and you find out, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
You reap what you sow. And you went out there and you spewed your thoughts and beliefs out into the world, and you had to have known that you would be a target. Not saying what happened is okay,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's not okay, but I think that also comes along with the things that you do and the things that you say. If you're going to be out there and be a public figure, you have to understand that this is what you're putting yourself on the
Yeah.
line for.
Yeah.
And his wife, when she came out and she did the speech that she did, do I think that was the smartest thing for her to do? No. Did what she say sound ignorant as fuck? In my eyes, it did. It sounded ignorant as fuck. Like you should have really had somebody help you out with that speech that you said, because it
Can you blame her though? Can you?
listen,
I know you don't agree with what she said, but can you blame her? Can you blame a wife who has two children who just saw her husband get shot?
listen.
Right?
What
Well,
happened to George Floyd? Did his family come out and
oh,
say the shit that she said? No, but that's the thing, right? But I also understand that not everybody deals with pain and anger in the same manner, and I can agree with that. But what I'm saying is, let's not sit there and sugarcoat who the fuck Charlie Kirk was and what he put out into the universe, because it at the end of the day, yes, the way he died was a fucked up manner. But again, you fuck around and you find out, you reap what you sow. And that's just what it boils down to for anybody in general, especially if you want to be a public figure.
I mean, I will say you make some good points. Now, I will say in this whole space, in this whole realm, and I don't mean this in an ignorant or racist way, but I feel like you can't really compare George Floyd to Charlie Kirk now. But I will say if you do compare them, now the main difference
Okay, let's
is
not compare them. Let's compare Martin Luther King and Charlie Kirk.
there are people who believe that Charlie's like the a somewhat similar to a modern day Martin. Now,
On what side?
I I'm I,
Yeah,
I've heard them compare him,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I've seen it. That's why I
What I
bring it
mean
up.
is
That's why I bring it
what I
up.
mean is as an activist, you can compare him to a current day Martin Luther King, and they're like
But like
Charlie.
an activist on the other side.
Yeah, maybe it's on the other side, but I just want to say this: post assassination, there have been no riots, there has been no retaliation, there's been no deaths, there has been no looting, there's been nothing like that.
Wait,
Now,
after this assassination?
yeah,
I mean,
there has not been anything like that. Now,
but why is that assassination getting more news coverage than the school shooting that happened on the same time that
well,
happened?
that's the
That's
media, but that's
but
the
but that's
media,
what I'm
and
saying.
it's both sides of the
But that's
media,
what I'm saying. As we're talking about Charlie Kirk and everybody is talking about what happened to him and
right?
how fucked up that situation is. Yeah, it was fucked up. He got shot in front of his kids, point blank. But at the same time that shit was going on, as a parent, every day that you send your child to school here in America, you send your child to school and you have this fear of what could happen. And that's the truth. When Charlie Kirk got assassinated, there was also a school shooting where children lost their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, it all boils down to the shit that Charlie Kirk said when it came down to guns and school shootings. And then that shit happening, it honestly, that's where I think a lot of people's anger towards him comes from, is the fact that like you sat there and you said the shit that you said about guns, and cool, you want to have a gun, cool, that's fine, but it's the fact of how you were saying it and think the way that you were saying things that just, for me honestly, it was more important to hear about these children that lost their lives going
Right.
to school
Right.
trying to get educated than it
Right.
was about a motherfucker who at the end of the day fucked around and found out.
I mean, so like in that sense, like I feel like for if for people who are like, oh, why aren't they covering more? Okay, that shit's super fucked up, right? Kids not kids
You as a
shouldn't
parent, how do you
kid
feel when you send your
kids.
kids to school?
I don't have the same feeling.
You don't? You
Nah,
don't have
he's
fear?
safe.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's safe. Yeah, I don't.
You don't fear that someday some shit
I
might
so
happen,
that is a fear as a parent.
or not a
My
fear, but a concern.
my
Let me put it
biggest
like
fear
that.
as a parent is someone touching my child. That's my only fear as a parent.
Okay.
And if someone touches him, they're gonna fucking die.
That's valid.
They're
That's
gonna
valid.
fucking die.
That's valid.
They're gonna fucking die. Oh shit! I probably can't post this on YouTube, but
Why?
like because
You gotta edit
that's
that
probably gonna get
shit.
demonetized or whatever. But yeah, like don't fuck with my kid. That is my
Yeah.
only thing. Do not fuck with my kid. I will fuck your shit up. You got me fucked up. Now, do I have to worry about that? I don't know, because they say a lot of like a lot of the times the people you got to worry about touching your kid is someone in your family or someone that's really close to you. So do I have to worry about that? Maybe not. But honestly, yeah, I don't have any fear of him of his safety at school. Now, what I will say about this is the school shooter thing is fucked up. I think our gut. There's a lot of homeless veterans in this world, right? Okay, and I've heard someone say this idea, and I think it's true, and I think they should do something like this, to where the government puts one veteran in every fucking school who's competent, who takes who gets psychoanalyzed, who gets checked every so often to make sure he's doing good for emotions and all that.
Okay.
Okay, someone who does not
I
have
guess I was about to go into the mental health part.
someone who does not have severe PTSD, someone who is all there, someone who has a brain and has common sense and is logical and has compassion for children, someone who's already trained in every school with a reasonable firearm to protect that school. One of those people in every school.
That's
Every
what you
school.
think your solution would be?
No, it's not a solution. It's just I feel like
An idea.
it's an idea.
And see, for me, it would be more mental health services for teens.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
that too.
that
That too.
honestly,
Yeah,
that for me, I feel like when it comes down to it, listen, I will personally tell you that I've experienced depression and anxiety, and I've been down a deep rabbit hole as a teenager. And I wish that I had the services that some schools have, not all schools. I know LAUSD right now sucks when it comes to mental health. But like I said, I have my children in charter schools, and I do feel like there's a lot more resources in that aspect. But for me, I would say for me, one of the ideas would be we need to invest more in mental health.
yeah. My sister, she got a master's in social work, and she works with kids. So I mean, the world needs more people like that. Hire more of those people, train more of those people. Pay them more money to do what they do. Um, I think I think I think the solution. I think there's no one set solution. I think a lot of it is there's so many different factors to this. I mean, I grew up in a fucking alcoholic household. I saw some really fucked up shit growing up. Some bad fucking shit. Am I traumatized by it? No, I'm not. Not anymore. But was I back then? I don't know. I don't even know if I was. I really don't know. I was just a kid living my fucking life. And so I grew up in some traumatic shit. I have ADHD. And was I coping with my ADHD? Probably. But I guess everybody's different, because did I need um do I think I would have needed like any kind of that help as a kid? Not really. I think I actually had I, I grew up skateboarding. I grew up fucking I didn't start fucking up till I was like 16, and that's when I went to Wilson on the school bus
And see, I started fucking up since
with
I
the
was
homies
13 years
with
old.
the yeah. See, I didn't start fucking up till I was 16. I was with the homies on the school bus going from Eagle Rock to Wilson, and was I easily impressionable? Yeah, and that's when I started. And it wasn't even that my life was fucked up. I was just like I wanted to be down with the homies. I wanted to fit in. That's what fucked me up. Wanting to fit in. That's it.
Really, for me, I think it was
That's it.
one, I wanted to do shit on my own, and I also wanted to forget. I wanted to forget everything that I was going through in life. And, I started slanging when I was 14 years old.
That's right.
Bought my first car by myself at 16. and I was doing it, but then at the same time I was also getting locked up in and out because I was fighting like
Yeah.
it. And I do feel like in some instances every time I got locked up, it was like a break for me,
Mm.
from reality and from life. But I also feel like in those instances when I would find an adult that I felt connected to, because I there are two adults that I can honestly tell you I still to this day think about them, and I think about the advice and the just the opportunity to have that safe space to talk. Those moments really helped, and that's why I say, like, when it comes down to mental health with teenagers, I think it's really important because for me, even now, I'm 39 years old and I still remember those two adults where I would go to and I would be able to talk and just sometimes you just got to lay shit out on the table. And I think that's just having a safe space for that, right? And I think more teens need that space because you don't always have it at home.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I agree with the whole thing about the resources for teens and kids and all that. My only
And
thing
it
with
sucks because there's no funding anymore, y'all.
yeah, my only thing with that is I also feel like that also starts in the home. You know, kids kids shouldn't fear their parents, and they should. I guess, and that goes back to our conversation on Instagram about
Parenting, yeah.
spanking your
Hmm.
kids and parenting. I feel like would my life be a little different if I didn't fear my mom and dad when growing up? I don't know, maybe but would I have wanted to talk to them about my feelings? Probably not, you know. But would I have wanted to be like, hey, mom, I don't like when you fucking yell at me? Maybe, you know what I mean? Would that be different? Maybe, but I think a lot of this also starts in the home. You know, I think we send our kids to school and we get mad about what the school is doing and not doing, but I feel like a lot of that starts with us.
Yeah.
Like if our kid goes to school and is fucking up, what the fuck did I do wrong? Now, I'm not saying like in anybody else's case, but in my case, if my kid's acting a fool, what the fuck did I do wrong? What am I doing? Am I being present? And am I spending time with him? Am I being a good role model? Am I being a good father? Am I showing him how to be a good man? Because if I'm not doing all that, then I could be like, okay, if I'm being the best example and he's fucking up, I'm like, what's up with you, fool? Like, why you being like this? Like, you live a good life, you have everything you fucking want. Like, you don't go without. You have no needs. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, what's going on? Then I'd be like, maybe I need to send you to someone. You know what I mean? But also, I think it's also different when you have daughters and you have, there's also a
See,
difference between,
I'm a single mom with two
yeah,
kids, and I will tell you that it is every day is I'm learning something new as a parent. But every day I also have my struggles. Especially I think raising a son as a single mother.
yeah,
Um, that I'm seeing where I am lacking and where I am struggling, because I can't necessarily teach them. And I know a lot of people are not going to agree with this, but I can't necessarily teach them how to be a man.
no, you can't,
I can't, and that's the truth.
you
That's the
can't. That's
truth
the truth. Yeah,
behind it,
yeah,
And um, it sucks that I'm in this position, but I'm also proud of the fact that I'm trying to figure out a way to do it, figuring out a way of how I can teach him to be the best man that he can be in this world, being raised just by a mother. And even with the daughter, there's times when I bump heads with my daughter, and there's times where I'm just like, fuck. And then I have to go back and remember, like, I was that little bitch too. I did that shit too. But I think one of the things that I like to tell a lot of my friends when we have conversations, and I think I told you this too on Instagram, was we need to allow ourselves grace, because just like our kids are growing up every day, learning how to be teens and learning how to be young adults in society, we're also learning how to be parents every fucking day. Every day is a new challenge. Every day is a
fuck
new,
yeah.
a lesson learned, a new, oh damn, like that should happen. And I think allowing ourselves to give ourselves grace in that aspect is really important. And I also think it's also important as a parent is to take accountability when you fuck up. Be able to turn around and tell your kid, you know what, I'm sorry, I fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I said this, or I'm sorry I reacted like that, because that is also showing your children that, you know, that you are a human being and that you make mistakes just like the next person, because we are not fucking perfect. And any parent that likes to sit there and try to portray as if they're the perfect fucking parent, you're not. Reality check is that you're not.
Yeah. So I'm doing the pee pee dance right now. I had to use the restroom. Um, I also got to go home and go get ready for church. I appreciate you.
Yeah,
This has
thank
been
you.
dope. This has been good. We didn't really get into a lot of like political values and ideas and ideology, but it's cool. I think we covered what we wanted to cover.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you live, every human being, every child deserves life. We all deserve a good life. I mean, I am religious. I'm part of religion. I believe in God, and I believe God sent us here to have good lives. And is there free agency in this world to where people can fuck shit up? Yeah. But that's the beautiful thing about being human and having a God that gave us the opportunity to kind of do what we want, right? Does it fuck shit up in the world? Probably. But that's the beauty of this life, is that you have the free agency to do and say as you please. Now, I just want to say one more thing. I think it's fucked up kids are dying, but I feel like a lot of people are like complaining about kids dying in the world. And I'm like, look, dog, if you're gonna complain about the kid, it's fucked up. If you're gonna complain about it, go buy packs of water, go buy bags of food, send another country food, send another country like I get it, it's fucked up, yeah. But if you're gonna blame it on like our government or anybody, like you got to get up and do it. You know what I mean? And one other, I'm not,
You gotta do for
you
your own
gotta,
community.
yeah. And at that point, if you're complaining, what's happening in Gaza and Israel is fucked up. But at that point, if you're gonna complain about that shit, what about the kids in the hood? You know how many kids in Highland Park are displaced right now?
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of kids in Highland Park are homeless.
Yeah.
And what are they? What are we doing? What are we fucking doing? We're not. And that's something that upsets me about the whole political space, and people thinking that they're political activists, and people thinking that it's just the government that's fucking up. No, we're all fucking up because we're not coming together as a people. We're not helping our people. It's not just on the government, like it's on all of us. It's
Yeah.
on all of us as parents and as a community.
And instead of sitting there behind your phone and posting and doing all this extra shit, what are you doing in your community? What are you doing to give back? Because I will tell you right now that people that are sitting in the shelter waiting to get housed,
Mm.
unfortunately, federal funding has been cut. And people are going to be sitting there for a long fucking time because the reality is they're not giving out vouchers anymore. There is no funding for money to be able to house these people. And I'm telling you because I work in this field. And instead of sitting there behind your phone talking all the shit that you are and posting all the shit that you are, sit there and really evaluate what you're doing in your own community. What are you doing to give back? Especially right now with the holidays coming out. Remember, there are families out there that don't got shit. Put together a drive. Go to your nearest shelter. Volunteer your fucking time. If you have old clothes sitting in your closet, don't donate them to go Goodwill. Go to a fucking shelter. Go out into your community. Ask your neighbors. You never know what the fuck your neighbor is going through. You got extra food in your fridge, give it to your neighbor. Take it to a homeless shelter. Go to Skid Road and see the people that are out there struggling right now. And I'm gonna say this, and I think this is where I'm gonna end it. Is just don't automatically assume that because you see somebody on the street sitting down looking like shit that, oh, they're a drug addict, they're gonna go spend that shit on drugs. At the end of the day, however they choose to cope with the
Yeah,
trauma that they're dealing
just
with is
fucking
is
yeah,
their own.
straight
Because
up.
just like you, when you get out of work and you're stressed the fuck out, you're gonna have a glass of wine. That's how you cope, right? So what makes you different than the person sitting on the corner trying to cope with the fact that they don't have a roof over their head, clothes on their back, and food in their mouth? So don't sit there judging people because of where they're at in life right now. Do your part to help and stop sitting behind your phone talking all the shit that you are, and do something. Get out there and be active in your community and help your neighbor.
Straight up. And if you don't follow the Dre Talks podcast, you need to follow. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Get on this fucking gravy train because we going places. We doing big things. There's big things coming for this podcast. There's big things coming for all of you. And if you fucking don't have hope right now, if there's hope for a motherfucker like me, there's hope for a motherfucker like you. So don't let anybody take away your hope. Don't let anybody take away your freedoms. Like, go out there and do something about it. Let's fucking go broke or go home. Let's go.